What's going on, guys? It's Sheepdog423, and today we're going to talk about how you can become a reserve police officer. So a reserve police officer, otherwise known as an auxiliary officer, it can either be a paid gig or it can be just 100% volunteer. So for example of a paid gig, so there was a football game at your local high school or a festival downtown. Instead of taking a certified officer off the road, they may call in reserves and they're going to pay them $50 to $100 or whatever they're going to pay them to work that event. That way it prevents a certified officer from taking away from what he could be doing out there for the community and putting him into an event. That's the whole reason they pay reserves. You can't make a living off of being a reserve police officer, at least not around here. Say you work 7 events the whole entire year, and if you get lucky and they pay you $100 event, that's only $700. There's nobody that I know that live off $700 a year. Now let's talk about the qualifications that you're going to need to become a reserve police officer. And this is going to be different for every single department, but this is a good general idea of what you're going to have. Let's get into the basic requirements that you're going to need to be able to fulfill to put in an application for the Police Reserve Academy. And what that's going to be is you're going to need a high school diploma or something equivalent like a GED, 21 years of age or older, a valid driver license in the state that you live in, and no criminal history for the last 10 years. Now the 10-year thing, that can be different depending on what department that you're going to apply for the reserve list. And one more thing is going to be, you need to be in some sort of shape. I'm not saying you need to be like Bruce Lee or be like Usain Bolt, better whoop everybody's butt, not run everybody, but you need to be in some decent kind of shape, because once you get to the academy, that is where it's really going to see who put in the work to be an officer or not. So you met all the requirements that you need. Now it's time to put in the application for the reserves. So the application process, it's going to ask you questions regarding, have you ever had any prior experience in law enforcement? Do you have any certifications that may pertain to what you're about to get into? And if so, then go ahead and get copies of those and attach it to your file. But along with those copies of what you might already have, it's going to need a copy of your birth certificate, your social security card, your driver license, your high school diploma, or your GED. You're going to attach all those copies to the application when you turn it in. So say you got all the requirements and the qualifications that you need, let's go to the next step. And the next step is going to be you getting the phone call that you need to say you're accepted into the Reserve Academy. So when you receive the phone call, whoever it may be, it could be the lieutenant, the chief, or it could be the sheriff. It just depends. Once you receive that phone call, they're going to tell you the time and the place to be to get your psychological evaluation done. So the psychological evaluation, there's nothing hard about it. It's going to ask you some questions to see if you're sane, and more than likely you're going to be sane. But you may get some very strange questions come up on that test. Don't be surprised if they ask you questions about something you might want to do with your family members that involves sexual activities. Came up on mine multiple times. So once you got your psych eval done, they're going to go to the next step, which is going to be your physical agility. The physical agility, it just depends on the department. That's one of those things that's very department specific. If you're out here working for like Miami or somewhere in California, you're going to be a higher demand for you to be able to perform more physical. But if you're in like a laid back place that's more royal, then you're not going to have to worry about doing so much for the requirements. For example, when I went, it was, you did so many push-ups, so many sit-ups, and you ran a little bit. It's nothing too crazy, but anybody could probably do what I did. So now you have your psych eval done, your physical agility's done. Now it's time to go to the Reserve Academy. Now in the Reserve Academy, it's going to be different for every single department. You might go for 8 weeks to 12 weeks, or some maybe longer. It's almost like you're going to a police academy. You're just not going to be a certified officer. They're going to put you through some of the same exact things that a certified officer went through. Some of the things they're going to teach you inside the Reserve Academy that you're going to use the rest of your career if you decide that you want to be a certified officer. You're going to learn state laws, constitutional laws. You're going to learn city ordinances, patrol tactics, defensive tactics, firearms training, OC spray, and the department depending, you're going to learn taser. So in the academy, like I said, it's either going to be an 8-week or a 12-week or maybe more of a time period. To give a good generalization how many hours it's going to be, I've seen it from either 240 hours up until the 600s. there's going to be two types of reserves. You're going to have your more structured departments, and you're going to have your more relaxed departments. They're completely two different ball games. So a relaxed department isn't really the correct term. That's what I'm going to call it for this video. You just go put in a small application. You might not even have to even do that as long as you know somebody. You're going to go qualify with your handgun. They're going to tell you you passed, you're good. Get in the car, you're going to head out. And you can ride as many hours as you want. There's no time frame of how many hours you got to get in a year. You just do what you need when you want to. And then here comes the worst part of the whole entire ordeal, and that's going to be everybody has to do in-service. Whether you're a certified police officer or you're just a reserve, you're going to have to do in-service. So what in-service is, that I can break it down in the simplest form, it's going to be what you already learned over the time you've been an officer, but the state requires you to refresh the information. Like things that you're going to learn inside of in-service, as a good example is taser every single year, OC spray. You're going to do several qualifications with either with a shotgun, a pistol, or a rifle. Just like everything, there's goods and there's bads. One of the goods of being a reserve officer is going to be whenever you say you're in a car and you're riding, you get dispatched to a domestic or a car crash, all you have to do is just ride in the car, get out of the vehicle, throw on your traffic vest, and direct traffic for a wreck. Or if there's a domestic, you go there, you just step back. If something happens, you might need to back the officer up, you can step in. But they're not going to expect you to take charge. That's going to be the officer you're with's whole job is to take charge, and you're just there learning. And where I'm going with this is report. After he takes all the information he needs from that crash, or he handles that domestic and arrests somebody, he takes them to the jail, he goes back to the station, and he has to start his report process. And the whole time he's doing reports, all you have to do is sit there, play on your cell phone, and just relax. You're missing the whole entire worst part of being a cop. And that's all of the paperwork you have to do. So that's it for today's video, guys. If this video was helpful and you enjoyed it, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. A drug arrest that you made. Say you arrested Billy Bob for having 0.2 grams of marijuana.